Psalm 23:1. People say this and read this all the time, but do they really understand what it means? The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. What does that mean? It means the Lord is the one who cares and provides for me. He provides for the sheep. That's what a shepherd does. He provides for the sheep. He provides protection for them. He provides food, grazing, the whole nine. He gives them everything that they need so that they're comfortable, so that they can live, and so that they can progress. Okay? This word want means to lack or to fail, to be devoid of, to be missing or thirst for or covet or need. I shall not covet. I shall not thirst for. I shall not be missing. I shall not be devoid of. See that? So if the Lord is your shepherd, then how can you be lacking the things that you need? See, I'm listening to her and she's talking about this pleasure principle.
We've got to, as Christians, find a measure or levels of pleasure or having fun.
She may as well be playing Janet Jackson behind her while she's talking. She's talking about this pleasure principle. Okay, well, we got to find a level of pleasure or a level of fun. Where in the Bible does the Bible talk anything about finding a level of pleasure? I have not seen this level of pleasure in the word. And here's the thing. Why are you seeking a level of pleasure? Remember what I told you about Christians? They always seeking something. They ain't found nothing. They're still seeking. That's how I know we don't serve the same God, because they're still seeking. They're seeking levels of pleasure and levels of fun. They're not just content to be in God. They're not just content to be in a relationship with him. All of their needs are not met. So obviously he's not their shepherd. He can't be the shepherd. They can't be his sheep because they're still lacking. They're still wanting. This woman is still lacking. She's still wanting. She's seeking levels of pleasure and encouraging others like her to seek levels of pleasure, because her pet peeve about Christianity is that people think that if you seek any level of pleasure or have any level of fun, then you're in sin.
Probably one of my pet peeves in Christianity is because we believe that if we're having some level of fun, if we're having some level of pleasure, it's sin.
If you're a Christian and you're seeking levels of pleasure and levels of fun, you are in sin. Flat out. How about that? Let's go to Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. This is what Yeshua says. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. See, we're still on this whole rest. We're still on this peace thing. This is not a worldly sort of thing. You don't receive this kind of rest, this kind of peace. You don't receive what he's offering by doing it the world's way. Okay, you may get a false peace, but that's not the peace that he gives, okay? But he said, come unto me, all ye that labor. What does this word labor mean? It means people that are fatigued. If you're feeling fatigued, if you're worn out, come unto me, all the worn out, all you worn out folks, all you fatigued folks. And why are people worn out and fatigued? Because they're seeking all these levels of pleasure. You're wearing yourself out, seeking pleasure instead of seeking the true and living God and accepting him, okay? And are heavy laden. What does this word laden mean? It means overburdened, filled with anxiety. These people are filled with anxiety because they're anxious. They want to get into something. They just got to be doing something. Okay, so it's after hours and this club is open, this Christian club. So instead of taking your butt home, you got to go to the club and get in the middle of the floor and dance and do all this. Where's the glory? Who's getting the glory? Where's this glory going to? Now, I am not against dancing. I love to dance. Matter of fact, I'm gifted to dance. But it all depends on what you're dancing about. Okay? It all depends on what this dancing is for. All right? But when you tell me you at the club, at the Christian club, and you hustling and you doing all these other dances to quote unquote Christian music, well, like I said, I'm not a Christian, so I can bash Christian music all I want. I already been on that side. I know it's foolishness and flesh. It's flesh fest. That's what Christianity is. Okay? But when you are doing all of that, you're seeking all of these things. You're anxious and you're becoming burdened. You're tired, you're feeble, you're fatigued because you're seeking these things. That's why. Okay? What does this word rest here mean in this scripture? It's talking about intermission. I will give you rest. I'll give you a break. You ever been to a play and they have an intermission? It's the break in between the play. He said, I'll give you a break. This break is implicative of recreation. Now, what does the word recreation mean? It means pleasure. It means leisure. It means relaxation. It means fun. It means enjoyment. It means entertainment, amusement, refreshment. God is saying, listen, I'll give you pleasure. I'll give you leisure. I'll give you relaxation. I'll give you enjoyment and entertainment. I'll give you amusement. But no, what do Christians do? They go out and seek levels of pleasure and levels of amusement and levels of fun. They have to go seek this because they haven't found it in him. Okay? He says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. See, they're so busy trying to do everything that the world is doing and emulate everything the world is doing that they're not learning of him. They're not learning who he is. And because they don't know who he is, who am I speaking of? Because they don't know who the Father is, then they have to go seek all these things. They have to go out and find all these things that give them pleasure, that bring them enjoyment and fun for the moment, okay? He said, take my yoke. What is this yoke? It's my obligation. Be obligated to me. Take my obligation upon you. See, you obligating yourself to religion. You obligating yourself to all these things. I'm listening to Ty talking about people not having fun in Christianity because of all the rules and regulations.
I am having a problem with this because it's probably one of the reasons why many people are caught up in sin is because they don't have fun as a Christian. We have so many of the rules, don't do. And whenever it is that we have any level of fun, it appears that we are sinning.
Well, see, under the new covenant, we're not obligated to rules and regulations. He said, take my obligation upon you. What is my obligation? He said, my yoke is easy, it's useful, and my burden is light. What is this burden? This burden is an invoice. It's a payment of a bill. My obligation upon you is a simple thing. Okay, this is not some heavy burden. This is not some bunch of rules. It's not about rules and regulations. It's about relationship. That's what he's saying here. He said it's useful, and my burden, in other words, the payment that I'm requiring of you is a light thing. It's not something that's more than you can handle. It's not overbearing. Okay, but what do Christians do? They walk around trying to fulfill the law. They walk around trying to do things, trying to win brownie points with God because I do this, because I go to church on Sunday, or MSI, Mind Screwing Institution, or because I do this or that, then I'm gaining favor with God. No, because you obey him, you're gaining his favor. Because you love him and you worship him, you've gained his favor. You're in a relationship with him, and that's why you've gained his favor. Okay? Psalm 34:10, he said, the young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek the Lord. What's all this seeking pleasure, levels of pleasure and levels of fun? It says, they that seek the Lord shall not want. You won't be looking for pleasure and looking for fun, seeking levels of pleasure and seeking fun. Because if you're seeking the Lord, you will not be in lack. You won't have a need to do these things. It says you won't want any good thing. I'm reminded of the Samaritan woman who was having a conversation with Yeshua at the well. This is in John chapter 4. Let's start at verse 13. That's where you'll find the story. And Yeshua answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Now, what kind of woman was this? This was a woman who was an adulteress. She was a fornicator. She was with a man that wasn't her husband, and she had men before that wasn't her husband. He knew what kind of woman she was. And he was talking to this woman to give her water that would cause her never to be in lack, never to want. He was going to fulfill her need. She would not have any more need to seek men out, to seek levels of pleasure and fun. This is her seeking levels of pleasure and fun. This is what levels of pleasure and fun seeking will get you, okay? Because your flesh knows what levels of pleasure and fun it desires. Are you smart enough to know that your flesh is the thing that seeks its own levels of pleasure and fun?